We're almost at the one-year countdown to the federal election. It's scheduled for October 21st next year, and the official opposition doesn't seem to be running out of targets for Liberal government attack. Let's get the latest. Andrew Scheer is the official opposition leader. He joins us from Toronto. Mr. Scheer, you spent a lot of question period time this week on ISIS fighters who are trying to return to Canada, and we're not sure many want Jihad Jack coming back, but his dad has written a letter to MPs, and he insists his son is innocent and has a right to be heard in a Canadian court. Does he have that right?
Well, you know, he has to. The government has a decision to make as to whether or not they want to go out of their way to bring him back here. I don't believe that they should. This is a UK citizen. This is someone who has chosen to go to Syria to be involved in organizations that have just done some of the most horrific things imaginable. So we have an issue here in Canada with a government that is not bringing charges and getting convictions to those who have already come back. I don't believe we need one more.
But he's British Canadian, so there is a Canadian connection. And I guess, is he entitled to due process? Does he have the right to come back and face the accusations? Do his wife and children, these wives and children, allowed to come back, or should they be banished as well? Where are you on those issues?
Well, look, I mean, obviously the Canadian government does have some obligations to those who hold Canadian citizenship. Those are established in law. What they don't have to do is proactively go out of their way. And what we've seen with some of these messages from these consular officials is, you know, offering, you know, do you want to come back to Canada, proactive help. This is someone who has chosen to go and has made that choice. And I don't believe that the government has to go out of its way. We've got a situation here where this government has failed to find a way to bring charges and convictions against people. The reason why people want to come back to Canada is because the ISIS is on the run, and we've significantly, our allies working together, have significantly hampered their ability to engage in these types of horrific activities. So now they want to come back to Canada, and I think this is something where the government should not go out of its way to try to help them get back here.
Fair enough, but if they apply to come back, should they be allowed back in?
Well, I think it's very important for Canada to get our own issues right, so that if there is any question about whether or not they're coming back to Canada, that they're facing charges and with a view to get convictions. We know that people who have gone to Syria, you know, bought a one-way ticket to Turkey, got on a bus to Syria. We know what they're doing, and sometimes it's very difficult for the intelligence agencies to bring what they know into the court of law sphere, where there's a very high threshold for evidence. That being said, the previous Conservative government did give a lot of tools to our security agencies, created the offense of traveling to go participate with a terrorist organization. It's this government that's not using those tools. We've only got, I think it's only 4 of the 60 have actually been brought to justice. That's not a very good success rate. I don't think we should be going out of our way to try to bring the 61st back.
All right, fair enough. A quick housekeeping question, I guess, is there any Conservative plan to undo pot legalization if you become Prime Minister?
Well, this is day 2 of marijuana being legal in Canada. We're already hearing some of the concerns from health experts, from law enforcement. Health experts have a lot of concern around the minimum age, and all the data shows that a significant amount of brain development continues on well into the 20s, and the fact that 18 has been chosen is causing a lot of concern to parents, to those in the medical community. Also with the roadside testing, you know, the Justice Minister, Liberal Justice Minister, was asked about how a regime would be developed for determining exactly how much THC is appropriate or allowed before you hit the impaired level. She said that would be decided on a case-by-case basis. So clearly they don't have answers to some of these very important aspects of the legalization.
Okay, well, just yes or no then. Is legalization here to stay as far as you're concerned, or could it be hauled back into decriminalization or recriminalization?
So the Conservative Party will do our due diligence, examine the consequences of this decision, and we'll examine the reality on the ground. We have to be realistic about what a change like this means to society and all the ramifications. But I can tell you that we are watching this very closely. We'll do what the Liberals didn't do and take an evidence-based approach to what we propose in the next election.
Okay, the toothpaste can be put back in the tube. I don't know if it could be, but I'll leave it at there, and we'll see what you do in the party platform.
Well, we'll have to see what the realities in Canada are at the time.
It's interesting to watch. Your party's been going incessantly, and you particularly on this Mark Norman case, former Vice Admiral. He's coming to trial next summer on breach of trust for leaking a cabinet confidence on this shipbuilding project. I guess his lawyer wants a lot of documents. You've been basically told they're not going to comment on that thing. Why is it such a big deal to get these documents? And would you be quick to release these cabinet documents if you were the Prime Minister?
Well, I do believe that these documents should be released. You've got a situation here where Mark Norman could go to jail. I mean, he could spend a significant amount of time behind bars. If there are documents that could prove or disprove his guilt or innocence, I believe that in order to ensure that a fair trial is had, that those documents should be released, that evidence should be released. There are lots of questions around here about the appropriateness of some of the lobbying that went on. There's obviously another side to this story. This isn't about commenting on the case. We're not asking Justin Trudeau to weigh in on what he thinks happened. We're asking him to do what previous prime ministers have done, and that is make this evidence available to the defense so we can have a fair trial.
All right, you're having a bit of a bash this weekend because 1 year from Sunday, we'll be having a general election. What do you see this campaign shaping up as? Is it a battle of ideas or just a referendum on leadership?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. I think that what people are seeing more and more is that Justin Trudeau, despite his best efforts in many areas, has failed to accomplish things for Canadians. He's failed to get deficits under control. He failed to get a good deal on NAFTA. He's failed to improve prosperity for Canadians. He's failed in the justice system. And then it's also going to be about the battle of ideas and a conservative vision to grow the economy, to ensure that everyone has equal opportunity, that everyone can share in economic growth. There's a lot of spending going on with this government, but more and more Canadians are telling me that they don't see that in their day-to-day lives, that they're just getting by and they're not getting ahead. And our policies will speak to that in a very practical way.